You are now listening to the Electric Dreams podcast.
Oh, I know that you'll be fine.
All right, guys, welcome to Electric Dreams podcast. I got a special guest, Jason Euler. What's up, brother?
How we doing? How we doing?
Good, man. Dude, thank you so much. You've helped me, Tori and I, so much when it comes to figuring out what to do with SUGA BROWN, the project and stuff. So I really wanted you to come on and just kind of show everybody, who you are. And I feel like, it was really cool meeting you at Octave. I think that was the first time I met you.
Yeah,
at Bay City. That was a crazy event. So, man. Give a little background of you for the crowd, and then go from there.
Yeah, definitely. I've been working in the music world for about 3 years now. A little over a year and a half full time. I started my own promotional company when I was 23, going on 24, with $500, and that's it. I ran party buses and filled tables at clubs for about a year until I saved up enough money. Finally decided to rent my own venue and book my own show, and I hired a headliner and flew him in. At Shady Park, show did really well. Following that year of just kind of doing the party buses and tables, I did a little over 65 events. I think might around like 65, 70 events that year. And eventually my company got acquired, and then I got offered a full-time position at Relentless, who was the other big promoter. They were the big giant in the market. So I was this little tiny guy compared to them. But I made enough noise and made enough waves, and eventually they just asked me to join the team over there, and I've been there since February of 2019.
Wow, dude, that's just crazy, man.
Yeah, full-time at Relentless.
From all that to where you're at now, I think honestly, I feel like it. Do you feel like it happened all of a sudden? Like, was it like fast paced? You know what I mean? Because it's like.
It was a lot. I was working a full 9 to 5 in corporate America while running Octave Entertainment, my first promotional company. So I'd work Monday through Friday from 8 and from 5 p.m. until whatever time it took. I was running a business and trying to get that off the ground. It flew by during it. I had to really tell myself, like, hey, stop, take a moment to breathe, look around, appreciate this moment, and kind of be present with it. But it went by fast, and while it was happening, I knew it would. I'm like, these are going to be some of the best memories and best days of my life, and it flew by real quick.
Yeah, because I feel like not only you are an event manager or a project manager, it's you also handle artists as well. So do you think that's helped you when it comes to that field as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as an artist, an artist trying to make it, you're creating a business essentially. You have a product, which is your music. You have to market it, you have to distribute it, you have to get people interested, and you have to try and sell the project to get bookings to generate revenue. At the end of the day, like artistry, there's a lot of creativeness behind it. Coming from someone who's a manager and someone who formerly owned a business, I really see the business side of it. And business is like my almost own creative outlet. Like I can't produce, I can't sing, I don't have a lot of the musical creative talent like so many people I work with and meet. But I think, entrepreneurship and business is kind of like my own creative, outlet in a way.
Do you almost wish you're kind of in that world? I know you definitely have a great business mind, but do you ever kind of like reflect and you're like, man, I should have fucking took piano lessons really seriously or something like that, or nah?
I wish I would have. I wish I would have stuck it out just to have the base of playing an instrument. But at the end of the day, like I want to be the guy that's behind the stage. I don't want to be the guy in front of it.
Right.
For me, it's more fulfilling to take the people I work with and help hoist them up to reaching their dreams and accomplishing their goals. I get way more fulfillment watching that happen for someone I know I helped, because I know I made a difference in that person's life.
I think so. Like, cause like it's not only a success for the artist, it's a success for the team as well. Cause if you
absolutely. And I'm a former athlete. I played baseball for 20 years, collegiately, professionally, the whole thing. And, it took me a while, when I was a kid playing the sport, I'd get really mad if I had a bad game, or I'd get really on myself. you know, as you get further along development, you understand just being part of a team and being a part of something. You know, later in my career, I could have cared how I played. Did the team win or did the team lose? That's all. End of the day, that was the only stat I cared about. We got the W or we didn't. You know, so it's kind of the same mindset I've transferred into business now. I don't really care what happens to me. I don't care how I do. Whatever it's are the people around me succeeding. And if I focus on making them succeed, in turn, I'll be successful in the long run. You know, it starts with what you can do for someone else, not what you can do for yourself. For
sure. And that's a big point for artists to understand too. I've tried to comprehend that a little bit deeper when it comes to like bringing value to others than you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then you. I mean,
that's a secret in anything, business, music. It all starts with the value you can give to someone else, you know? And if you're able to give value to people, more and more people are going to follow your story. They're going to join your cause. They're going to be a customer of your business. But it all starts with the value we can give others first.
Do you feel like managers have to? What should be the value of more of the manager or more of the artist? Who gives? Like, if you had to pick values of more, who has more? It should be the artist.
I think it goes both ways. I think just people in general need to focus on where they can give value. You know, like, and sometimes value is different. For me, just with my artists, just having them succeed, like that gives me value. You know, so in order for them to succeed, they have to work extremely hard. You know, so it kind of creates that because they're giving me value through their hard work. You know, and then I think on the management side, you know, you have to figure out how you can be valuable to that artist. You know, especially if they're a once in a generation talent or something you're not going to find every day. You really need to figure out, hey, how can I make this person's career better? How can I make their life better? How can I take their stress away? You know, for my artists, I'm always trying to say, like, what can I load up on my plate to ease the burden of everything they have to do to make it as an artist? Because there's just so much you have to do these days.
Yeah, it's a shit ton, especially if you're by yourself. Going back, going back to like, you know, do you recall a moment with you and an artist that an artist was kind of feeling like, you know, they were really stressed out, and like, was there a moment that how you dealt with that? Like, how did you dealt with an artist that was just kind of like maybe getting creatively blockade or something?
It happens frequently with creatives, you know, and the biggest thing is having an open line of communication to the people you're working with. Yeah, business is important and we have this goal, but you have to, it's a level of respect for the person, understanding that their mental health and their well-being comes before anything. You know, and one trick I like with my artists, like I tell them, like, dude, turn your phone off, take 5 days. I don't care if you go on social media. I don't care if you make a post, you know, let's come up with a plan before you take those 5 days. I'll help you out and I'll handle it, but you need to get these things done. And, you know, vice versa. I've had times where, you know, I'm constantly on social media. I'm behind a computer all the time. And, you know, I wrote a blog about it on my website, jasoneuler.ventures, about took an entire month off social media last October.
Really? Okay.
You know, yeah. And, it was incredible. It was much needed. I came back with the reset and was able to really just get back into it. So breaks are important, and allowing someone to just get out and live in life for a bit could bring a whole new wave of creative juices back to that person. So just communication and just having respect for the person you're working with as a person. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, especially when it comes to like mental health and the whole COVID-19, like,
especially right now.
Yeah. How are you personally doing with the whole COVID-19? Like, it could be you know.
I mean, you know, I work full time in music festivals. You know, so we had Phoenix Lights here in Arizona get canceled, which was an event I was playing a major role in. I had tons of projects around that event that I was working on. My artist Ekonovah was playing it. You know, I lined up tons of partnerships. So I lost that, and that was a tough one. Then Wet Electric got canceled right after. And I don't know when I'm going to have a festival again this year. You know, I've always been pretty good about not stressing over things I can't really control. And this, unfortunately, is something I can't control. So instead of sitting here and, you know, wallowing in self-pity or whatever, like, I got dealt an unfortunate hand, but that doesn't mean I have to live and continue to live in an unfortunate circumstance.
For sure.
I think we all have the power to change our circumstances, you know. So quarantine hit, I launched the new online business, which you've been a part of, you know, with
yeah, it's blowing up too, man. You got a stack of great people on there. I was like, holy shit, you know.
Yeah. No, we've really gotten some great minds to come on to it. You know, we're featuring top artists like Arias, Cap Slap, Dak Daniels, and so many more. I got some of the top promoters, agents, record label executives on there. So when quarantine hit, you know, I didn't really sit there and say, pour this, why me? I said, okay, this is the way the world's going to be. How can I play a role in it? And, you know, instead of focusing on the pity part, you know, I focused on the opportunity part. And I think anyone, no matter what they're going through, you know, if you sit and focus hard enough, there is an opportunity somewhere within everything that's going on. You just got to work really hard until you find it and then attack it with everything you have. Yeah,
no, it's a great idea. What made you started that idea of the artist?
Yeah. Well, when we launched the Ekonovah project, it was May of, 2017. Yeah.
Wow.
May of 2018. Sorry. And we launched the project then, and it went really, really well. He went from playing on an alleyway on a mixer to playing at EDC within a year.
Yeah, he's killing it right now.
Yeah, he started signing record deals. And a lot of people, especially in Arizona, just saw that growth that had happened with him. So I started just getting tons of DMs, emails like, hey, how'd you line up this record deal? Hey, how'd you go about releasing music? How'd you get him booked out of state? You know, what are the things you guys are doing that's working? And then, you know, I'm between that, I'm working a full-time job. I'm managing 3 acts. You know, I have a side company with my blog with MOONLANDING that I run. So, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I can sit down and, you know, I'll just charge a small fee and, you know, I can go over your project with you. So I started just doing that, built a website, and immediately just had tons of people start pouring in. I started, you know, doing online sessions through Zoom. I started going to coffee shops to meet kids locally, you know, and I just realized, you know, the only reason I made it in the music industry is because I had 3 mentors who taught me like 80% of everything I learned. You know, and I think I have a duty, and anyone else who has been mentored, you have a duty to pass that information along, you know, in a lot of different ways. So I really look at it as I wanted to create a platform that could empower and help people. You know, I know the biggest thing for me, if I could go back and talk to my 23, 24-year-old self when I first started working in the music industry, I'd have saved myself so much time. I'd have saved myself so much money. I'd have saved myself so much heartache. And now for $50 to $100, you can go sit down with myself or people that have even more knowledge than I do and get those questions answered. And, you know, that $50 or $100 investment in yourself could be the difference between you making a financial mistake with your project a year or 2 down that might cost you $500 or $1,000. So, you know, I just look at it as a good opportunity to help educate.
But I feel like if you didn't go through all that shit, I think that all that struggle, I think you wouldn't be where you're at right now.
Absolutely not. You know, and I did running a business, working a 9 to 5. Like, you know, I was putting in some 70, 80 hours a week. For 2 years, I didn't, from 2017, all 2018, I did not take a single vacation. Every single sick day or day off I had at my corporate job went toward working on the business. You know, so I always just took those extra days if I had an event I needed to be ready for, or, a lot of things. But yeah, there are not a lot of breaks when you're running your own business.
Is it kind of hard sometimes when you have to miss those events? Like, have you missed a special, like, for instance, did you miss a wedding, like a best friend's wedding because of it? Or how do you deal with those kind of...
Yeah. The only thing I out of, like I said, I did like 70 events in 2018, and I missed one, but I had to fly to Bonnaroo because I had artist passes there, and there was some networking I needed to do out there and do that. So that was, and I was helping out with the Walter Productions team on site at Bonnaroo. So that, you know, was kind of vacation, but not really. I had a funeral I had to go to. I didn't miss any events there, and it was on a weekend, so I was able to drive to Flagstaff. So luckily, nothing too crazy. my dad passed away when I was 24 or 25.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
And I took a day off to go do that. But other than that, yeah, not many breaks.
And going through that, like I can't imagine going through that with my mom. Like, what did it had to probably be hard on you when it came to trying to continue on that. Do you kind of like look at it and just like, you know what, dad would have would have wanted me to do this and stuff? You kind of does it kind of like
my father taught me my work ethic. My dad taught me the difference between being someone who finishes something and someone who quits something. Mm-hmm. And at the time, my team on Octave, the people I had helping me with the company, those are some of the people that immediately were there for me, helped me get through that difficult time. So I was so lucky. I just had an immediate group of people that were there like, hey, we got your back. We're here for you. And for me, one thing I've always been really good at is, if a negative thing happens in my life, I drown myself in something that's going to help me improve my life. I used baseball that way a lot. And in this case, I put all my focus into my business. I was dealing with a lot of pain and, I just kind of was able to take my mind off of things and just drown myself in the business. And it helped in a lot of ways. Yeah, no,
I think it's a genius, especially like, I feel like you are just looking at you. I've been just kind of like overviewing like your Instagram and all that stuff. I'm just like, man, Jason always has something behind his pocket for something. Like let's say like the whole COVID-19, you had the artist path, but it blew up. And I was just like, man, this is a man that has so many genius ideas of that. Do you have like a way, for instance, like if you do go through stressful occasions, do you have like advice? Do you have like golf? I see you go golfing.
We golf off my roof a little bit. I haven't been in a while, but we got a little chipping green off my roof we hit off of, which is fun. As far as stress relief, it's really the core self-development things I've learned over the years. Whether I'm going through a good or a bad time, like I journal every week, at least 3 to 4 times. And just getting your thoughts out of your head and physicalizing them out in the world can do wonders. I work on meditation. It's something I struggle really hard to do. It's not as easy as like some may think or whatever. But I try to exercise, try to meditate, exercise. I make sure I get my exercise and just eating. And the biggest thing just to really focus on is just what I'm consuming. That's who I follow on social media. That's the articles I'm reading, what news sources I allow into my life. I'm just really conscious of what I'm putting into my mind, spirit, and body as much as I can be. Not to say I don't go indulge, every once in a while when I need to, but for me, it's not necessarily that I have a vice. It's just staying consistent with the things that I know are going to keep me centered, mind, body, and spirit. No, perfect. I think people should need to follow that scheme of just like being consistent, even though you have shitty moments like that. Yeah, like there's days I don't feel like journaling. Right. There's days I don't want to go meditate, or God, I don't want to get up and go run or exercise today or things like that. Like I hit those days too. Some days they win. I'm human. But sometimes you just got to bite your lip and go through it. And I learned that a lot through sports, luckily. And again, just another lesson from sports that's really transitioned over to my life. When you journal, do you journal about, like, for instance, like how I'll journal like what I need to get done. I'll be like, I convince myself what I need to get done. Do you journal? Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was like, do you journal that way, or how do you normally journal? Yeah, definitely. So I have a planner that like lists out my entire week down to I have a master list of everything I have to get done. I filter that down onto what day I need to get that done. And then I filter even further of what time on which day I'm going to get that specific task done. Time management is choice management. So that helps me manage my choices so I can manage my time. As far as journaling, I'll write about, how my mental health's doing. I'll write about what happened to me that day. I'll write about something I'm excited about that's coming up. I'll write about heartbreak. It's everything in my life. If you wanted to go see, what I was thinking in 2018 as I was building a business, working a 9 to 5, going through a breakup, whatever it might be, it's all in there. I really just take whatever's on my mind that day or really pressing on me, and I make sure I get it out of my head and into the world and make it something real. The funny thing is, as you start to write these things and you read them back to yourselves, you start to understand your own mind and how you're thinking a lot more. And once we become aware of ourselves, that's when we can make the biggest changes in our lives, is when we're aware of what's happening to ourselves.
Yeah, no, that's a genius idea, bro. Honestly, because it's like, for instance, if you like when you manage somebody and let's say you're going through some shit and you don't want to take it out on someone else or like a big client and stuff. So I think it's a very good, especially right now. I feel like a lot of people are just struggling when it comes to the mental health right now.
Everyone,
people are protesting about that. How do you think that, like for instance, let's say Relentless Bleeds, it just goes, they go up to you like, all right, Jason, we want you to figure out how the hell we're going to get back to the whole festival experience. How would you go about it?
We are, we're constantly figuring out what that's going to look like. It's a super team oriented decision. I don't think until we morally feel okay and ethically, and make sure that we can keep people safe. The number one priority at any festival ever is ensuring the safety of our staff, our partners, and our attendees. Nothing else matters at an event other than those things. Everything else is secondary to that. So I think when we're in a position where we feel like we can keep that number one, that's when we'll really see to bring it back. But just working collaboratively with my teammates and communicating and figuring out how we can do that. And then obviously whenever, we got to follow the law and the government. And so whenever they decide, it's okay, we'll have a conversation then. But here in Arizona, at least things are starting to open back up. All the bars and clubs were packed this weekend, which was pretty crazy to see. I was just watching everyone's Snapchats and Instagram stories from my home, but pretty crazy to see.
What's your feeling about that? Were you kind of like, a little iffy? You're just like, I don't know if I want to. That's a tough one. There's so much controversy on this between the people that are still social distancing and the people who aren't. Yeah.
For me, I'm in no rush to get back out. I got things I can work on at home. I've been exercising a lot. I'm enjoying these aspects of my life right now. There's always another party, we have a drive-in festival next weekend, which will be pretty cool that we're doing.
Interesting. With Carnage,
Yeah, Carnage, Bijou, Dr. Fresh, 4B, Valentino Con. So should be a fun little event, and I'm excited to see how that goes. And I'm hoping that kind of gives me my festival fix for the time being. But right now, it's a socially distanced event. Everyone's separated in spaces of their car. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And
I'm curious about that, how that's going to align out, and maybe it's in the future. Maybe people will have like drive-through, festivals, which is, honestly,
I think one day you're going to put on a VR headset and you're going to go to the festival through that in the comfort of your own living room. As soon as you're done, you'll take it off and be back there. Technology, I think technology and seeing the live streams and virtual events happening. I think we're really just scratching the tip of this iceberg with all of that.
What live stream has intrigued your eye? You're kind of like, okay, I or Insomniac's live stream. You're kind of like, oh, that's pretty interesting how they did it.
It was really neat watching. Insomniac's done a really good job with all theirs. We ended up hosting one of our own live streams with my media company, MOONLANDING, with my business partner Nick and I. We raised a little like $1,800 for Feeding America. We put the stream together in 2 weeks, so that was just super cool to see happen. We had some solid names on there like Ekonovah, Dak Daniels, Wednesday, KO, West End, and more. So I, being someone who put one together, I'm a little biased. That one was probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. It was a good one. What was it? What was the best part of building that up?
It's just great watching people in our industry and getting to reach out to different artists, managers, and people to partner with this, and just everyone collaborating just to create something. None of us are getting paid. There wasn't huge incentive for it. Just, hey, we can raise some money for a good cause, and we can do something to unify our community a little more during this really tough time.
And do you feel like when I know you said no money, does the finance kind of get a little? Does that kind of struggle? Does that kind of?
Well, the cost of hosting a stream isn't much. You know, it's relatively low overhead. There's not a lot to go into. We paid a little bit in marketing and all that. Oh, got really crazy overhead there. It's just the value of your time that you're putting in, essentially. You know, is all.
And what can an artist take advantage of this whole situation? This whole, you know, live stream and kind of, you know, everybody's at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think, you know, take advantage of the live streaming opportunities where you can. It really depends on where you're at as an artist. You know, artists earlier in their career that, you know, maybe you weren't touring or playing a bunch of shows prior, you were getting some gigs here and there. Like, you should be locked away in the studio just making music, stockpiling that music and having that ready to go, refining your sound. I think for bigger artists who were touring, they really need to keep their name at the forefront of people's minds. And that's why you see a lot of them just doing tons of these live streams to make sure they're constantly, you know, kind of in that public eye. So really just depends where you're at, you know, in everyone in their own respective projects.
Do you feel like it, you mean, if, for instance, let's say they live stream every day, would you rather have them live stream every day or every other or every weekend?
I wouldn't like, I'm not having my artists live streaming off their platforms per se. No point there. Like, the people following those platforms are already going to see the music we put out, the pictures, the content and that stuff. So I don't think live streaming is a huge need there. I think the benefit of it really comes if a group's pulling it, other artists are playing it, and you can get involved in those. I think those are a little more beneficial right now. I think any artist is better off locking themselves in the studio and creating more music than they are live streaming off their own personal platforms right now. Just my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I mean, I think right now it's like the perfect time to just, you know, even test the waters of your music, see what you can push out, what you can, you know, do, especially, you know, if you're not an artist like, you know, Ekonovah is such a good example. He has such a unique sound, and you know, I mean, it doesn't have to be this specific genre, even though it fits on this genre. I feel like he could do way
Quarantine
more.
For him has been probably like one of the honestly. He's probably written 4 or 5 new songs in like the last 2 months. He's been on a super creative, like, inspirational kick. And the songs he's put out, the last 5 songs he's put out during this quarantine, are hands down the best I've ever heard him create or make. And I don't know if he would have created it without quarantine. So for me, I kind of said, I even told him, like, this quarantine might have been the best thing to ever happen to your career. Because I think the music that he's creating right now is going to really open up the door for him to kind of introduce his signature underground sound to a more mainstream light, while not losing his musical integrity. So I'm really excited about the music he's putting out he's creating right now.
Yeah, me too. Especially the collab he did with Mysteria. I think that one was a killer track.
That was a solid one. And like, again, just this unreleased stuff. That track with Mysteria, that thing was like a year, maybe like a little over a year old, I think. Yeah. You know, sometimes it just takes a while to find a home for a track and get it out there. But we were really happy with the results on that one.
What was your experience about that? You know, giving back to, like, you know, when we were talking, he was like, yeah, I made that like a year or 2 ago. Like, and you were with him at that time. Like, what was your experience from the beginning till when it finally out? Were you guys kind of like, you celebrated at the end? You're like, dude,
well,
finally.
It was really early on for him and Mysteria. Mysteria was doing some great things. His project is really hockey sticked and just blown up. It's been really cool watching what he's been doing. But they were both relatively kind of around the same spot at their points in careers. You know, both projects were fairly young. So it was cool just to watch that come out. I'm like, and their sounds really complemented each other well at that time. You know, so it was cool to see it come to fruition. We had an offer from another label. We ended up turning that offer down. And then finally we got to line it up with Confession, and it made sense, and we were able to get it locked down with Confession.
What's the feeling like when you finally kind of get a record sold?
Getting a record signed, it's a good feeling. It just takes a little weight off our shoulders. You know, you want to, you know, make sure you have a consistent release schedule. You know, early on in an artist's career, having the backing and support of a label is, you know, a good label is invaluable. You know, so being able to work like with a group like Confession, you know, where they're featuring some of the top house acts in dance music, just to be associated on that, it's a real honor. So it's a good feeling. You know, and some tracks never make it, but that's part of it. And like I tell Steven, I always tell him the next song he produces should be the best song he's ever made. And I think as an artist, you constantly have to have that mentality.
That's when, you know, you almost push your limits. You kind of like, all right, shit, I didn't know I was capable of thinking that. I always think that with singers too. Like, will you ever be interested in, like, you know, managing singers, or that's just kind of like out your own?
I actually took over a vocalist in March of this year, Bella Renee.
Okay.
We are sitting on a ton of music. Her first single actually comes out Friday, June 5th. It's called Call Me Back. She's an indie electronic artist and a little undiscovered, and I found her here in Arizona, and I think she's going to be a Grammy winner one day.
Hell yeah!
God, I believe that in my soul. She's beyond talented. She did some time at Berklee School of Music out in Massachusetts. Just got some great singing, songwriting knowledge, and music industry knowledge from there. And her work ethic out of some of the artists I've worked with is just unparalleled. She works so hard. So I'm really excited about working with that. It was a little bit of jump out of my realm, going from only managing producers to taking on a vocalist. So I'm learning a lot, you know, and even where I'm at, you know, I'm constantly having to always learn, adapt, and find new things. But really excited about the future for her.
What's one thing you're learning from this experience with the vocalist?
Just, you know, going about how to market their music, how to market their brand. You know, it's a lot different, lining up features and negotiating features, and you know, just putting her in a position to be successful. And then, you know, for me, I'm having to network outside of the dance music world into more the music industry as a whole right now. You know, so I got to find indie electronic blogs or pop blogs to connect with and get her name in front of them, and that's a whole new challenge that presents for me. You know, with Ekonovah and Rel, you know, I can call 3-4 blogs, you know, whether it's Run the Trap, EDM.com, or whatever it is. I got friends that work within those organizations, you know, so I can make a call or a text, and luckily I have that relationship that can open the door there. Right now, I got to go knock on doors again and start that whole process over kind of from scratch. So it's a level of humility that it comes with as you start to learn something new. But again, I just she was too good to pass up on to work with.
For sure. Like what was your reaction? How did you meet her? Did you meet her at a bar, or you know, was she at a coffee shop?
No, I met her through Twitter.
Really?
I met Ekonovah through an app called Radiate, where you meet other people going to festivals. I was selling party bus tickets at the time, and that's how I met him. Mm-hmm. Rel, I met. He came and played an event. He had a different manager, different agency at the time, and I was super early in my music industry career. And at that point, he'd already played Tomorrowland. He played EDC and all that. So he was a little more established. Then eventually, him and his old management parted ways, and he and I had just been friends since we met there. And he moved to Arizona, and we linked up. And you know, I liked the project, and I've always just had so much love for him. So it was a no-brainer. So that's kind of how my 3 acts came to be.
Yeah, that's nuts. How it's all separate too. It's not, you know, everybody's consistent about that, because you know you're not always going to meet an artist through, you know, coffee shops or anything like that.
Yeah.
For what would be a good tip for, let's say, like a manager that's trying to seek out, you know, good talent? Do you rather for them to go out to the shows and stuff, or, you know what I mean, kind of just do your little research?
Yeah, I think if you're wanting to get into music management, you know, I think it starts with your local scene. I think it really comes down to being connected and finding someone to work with in your local scene. Like if you're just starting, like you decided last week you want to be an artist manager, go get involved in your local scene, start meeting everyone, follow every DJ artist in your local area on Twitter, Instagram, see who's putting out music, and beyond that, see who's putting out music that you like. I think it's really important. You have to like the music of the artist you want to represent. You kind of got to be a fan at the same time as a manager. And that's what the acts I represent. Like, you know, I'm a fan create. And I think that helps me. It's easier for me to push it and help distribute it and market their music because I believe in it, I like it, and I love the people. So I think just getting out your local scene, meeting people, following, and then finding an artist who, hey, you can see they're trying. They're trying to brand themselves on social media. They're trying to put out music. They're putting out good music that you like. Reach out. Go invite them to coffee. Grab a beer with them. Ask them what their goals are. See if you think, and then, as you learn what their goals are, see, okay, well, I can help in that area because I know how to do Photoshop, or I know how to do Spotify playlisting or whatever. And if you don't know how to do those things and you want to be an artist manager, go learn how to do them.
Yeah. Go on the web, go on YouTube.
Has all the information needs out there.
Has there been cases of, for instance, you really like this person and, they're a really good artist, but you knew it business-wise, it wouldn't make sense. Have there been cases like that with you when you're like, man?
I've had 2 artists I've managed who I no longer manage or work with. Still on super good terms with both them. Like, nothing but love there. And for me, my first act I ever managed, we just had a difference in ideology and how to market. There's nothing wrong with that. He wanted to do it one way, I want to do another, and it just didn't mesh. And we were able to depart from that. My second act had really good at marketing, good at branding, wasn't pushing music out as consistently as I really needed to see. Again, just difference in style, wasn't a good fit. So I've been through those too. So, overall in my lifetime, I've managed 5 different acts. I'm with 3 of them currently, and, difference with all of them. And right now, the acts I work with, Eko, we've been together for, 2.5. Like I was managing before he was Ekonovah. He used to be in a duo called Suspect Zero. I started managing that duo first. So, I've been working with him for a little over 3 years probably now. Rel, we're coming up on a year in June. And then Bella, we started in March this year. So
how's that relationship with you and Ekonovah? Since you guys, were kind of like friends prior than being management together?
Well, we weren't really friends before I managed him, but he came and started helping me working on Octave, and I found his music. He was 18 or 19 at the time. He wasn't even producing anything close to what he's producing now, totally different style. But I heard the quality in production. I don't know how to explain it. I just saw something special, but over the years, he's become one of my best friends. I honestly kind of look at him like a little brother sometimes, and I'm sure, much the same on his end. He probably looks at me kind of like a big brother sometimes. And, the coolest thing about that is I really have developed a friendship with him. I enjoy him so much as a person.
Yeah, because I think that's the most important thing about having that relationship, that you guys can be true to each other and be like,
absolutely.
Honest. Like, for instance, like, were there have you had these like conflicts that's like, he's really wanting to push this music out and you're kind of like, man, I don't think it's ready for it, I don't think it's ready? Or
we've had a couple times like that, and it's normal, and to most degree it should be. That type of little friction's good. Takes friction to create a spark and some warmth sometimes to get things going. But for the most part, we're able to really have a good conversation and either find a medium where, hey, we're both happy with this, or it just comes down. We both have a lot of trust in each other and a lot of respect for one another. And I think keeping those at the forefront, we really don't have too many issues where we don't necessarily agree pretty darn good most of the time.
No. I think that's a great relationship to have. Yeah, man, just like just seeing overview of your whole, from Octave to being to Relentless Beats. It's just like, it's kind of a cool like roller coaster to see. You know what I mean? Like experience.
It's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster. Let me tell you.
Just like, you know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, before COVID-19, you're just like pumped up with all this shit. You're like, oh man, we're going to have
I was coming into 2020 so excited. I finally had a year under my belt at Relentless. Really I'm really integrated there now, really working well with the team, and really kind of starting to come into my own there. So it was a bummer, but again, it's life. I can't control it. No point stressing. I found another opportunity. I'm still lucky, you know, I get to work on In Rave next weekend and all that. So there's silver linings everywhere, and it's a matter of just choosing to look at them.
Yeah, choose to whether you want to take it and just like go with it, or just sit and pout on it. And I don't see that with you.
No, it does nothing. Doesn't pouting or self-pity. At the end of the day, it just doesn't change your circumstance.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, thank you so much, brother. I thank you so much for taking your time out. I just seeing you grow, you and Ekonovah. I just been big fan of you guys' shit that you guys are coming out, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? That. And also I feel like, you know, you've dabbled in the old artist, so you can tell, like, you know how it feels to be an artist in some way, you know what I mean? Like,
a little bit, yeah. I DJ more just for fun, you know, but I you know, I have a full-on website for my alias. I have a press kit, you know, I've done all the things that I would ask any other artist to do. And I've gotten to play some pretty cool shows. Avalon Hollywood. I played at the Press Room here in AZ, Shady Park. You know, and for me, DJing, it's fun. It's basically just saying, hey, I want to get the aux for a while when I'm out at the bar or the party, and getting to share some tunes that I really enjoy. So it's been fun. I don't take it too seriously. If you follow my DJ page, you'll know that. But for me, that's just about having fun around the music.
Yeah, man. I can't wait till this shit ends so we all get together. I've been wanting to pitch you this idea of having like a round table. So basically you'll be there, and then all your artists will be there, and we'll just kind of like shoot the shit about, like, you know.
Yeah, we're actually working on a virtual panel with the Artist Path right now, which I'm really excited about. So we're going to get a bunch of our mentors on a live stream session, just to kind of talk about their experiences during quarantine, what music industry has been like for them, and just talk a bit on their knowledge and experience. So
love it. When is that going to come out?
We're working on. We should have a date released here soon. My partner's working on it. That's kind of his project. I've got a few other things I'm handling right now. So, but excited to see that come to life, and you know, see who it might help.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you so much, Jason. You have the Artist Path. Any plugs you want to give out?
Yeah, I mean, just anyone who wants to hear my story. I got tons of podcasts, articles, things of that sort. All my social media and all the projects I work on. Just go to jasoneuler.ventures, and you can pretty much read my life story there, as well as connect with me pretty much anywhere.
Sweet. All right, thank you, Jason. Appreciate your time. All right, guys. Awesome. We'll talk to you soon.